General Sani Abacha ruled Nigeria from 1993 to 1998. He came into power during a time of political chaos, with shifting governments and unrest. As leader, he was strong-armed, secretive, and ruthless. People feared speaking out. But behind this power was a dark story. You see, economically, Nigeria was one of Africa's big players at the time. In 1998, at the end of Abacha's rule, Nigeria had the highest GDP in Africa, around $218 billion, more than South Africa and Egypt. Yet, despite that huge number, the country was not growing, the people were suffering. Many lacked clean water, hospitals were underfunded, schools were overcrowded, roads were in bad shape, electricity was unreliable or simply absent. So, you have a country with massive wealth on paper, but for many Nigerians, daily life was a struggle. Long blackouts, minimal medical care, bad roads, corruption so deep it touched everything. That was when Abacha and his team were allegedly taking public money and hiding it abroad, billions of dollars. And while the nation was rich in potential, much of that potential was being stolen. Here's how it worked. Whenever Abacha wanted money, he simply told the Central Bank of Nigeria to release it. He usually said it was for security reasons, but instead of protecting the country, the money went straight into secret accounts for him, his family, and his close friends. Another trick was through contracts. Let's say a project was supposed to cost $50 million. On paper, they would write it as $200 million. The extra money went into their own pockets. For years, nobody could question the whole thing. Abacha ruled with fear and most people stayed quiet. But in 1998, when he died suddenly, the truth began to come out. The new government looked into the accounts and saw that billions of dollars were missing. Investigators soon found that the money wasn't just in Naira. It had been moved abroad to places like Switzerland, the UK, Jersey, Luxembourg, and the United States. That's when the hunt for the money began. Switzerland was the first place where progress was made in the early 2000s. Over $700 million linked to Abacha was frozen in Swiss banks and later sent back to Nigeria. In the United States, the Department of Justice went to court. By 2014, they had seized more than $480 million connected to Abacha's corruption. It was one of the biggest recoveries of stolen money in US history. In Jersey, a small island near the UK, over $267 million was found in Abacha-linked accounts, and as recently as 2022, another $23 million was recovered from the UK. Altogether, Nigeria has gotten back about $3.6 to $4 billion so far. But many experts believe that's not everything. Some of Abacha's money is still hidden in secret accounts and shell companies around the world. So, what happened to the money that came back? Nigeria promised to spend it on things that would reduce poverty, like education, healthcare, and roads. To make sure it wasn't stolen again, the World Bank was asked to help watch how the money was used. On paper, that sounded like a win, but many Nigerians still were not convinced. Civil society groups complained that not everything was clear and some of the funds might have been wasted or mismanaged. So even though money was returned, people kept asking, did it really reach the people who needed it? The story of the Abacha Loot also has plenty of controversy. There were reports that at times deals were made with Abacha's family, letting them keep part of the money if they agreed to return some. Many Nigerians were angry about this. How can people who stole from the country bargain and walk free? Then there is the problem of numbers. Nobody seems to agree on exactly how much Abacha stole or how much has been returned. Some reports say about $3.6 billion had been recovered. Others said more. Others claim the figure is higher, without one clear number. People doubt whether the full truth has ever been revealed. And then there's the bigger problem that even after the Abacha saga, corruption in Nigeria hasn't gone away. The system that allowed billions to be stolen back then still exists in many ways today. Why does this old story still matter? Because it shows how corruption is not just a local problem. Money stolen in Nigeria ended up in Swiss, American and British banks. It took years of court cases and international cooperation to bring some of it back. It also reminds us that recovering stolen money doesn't automatically mean justice. Yes, billions were returned, but when ordinary Nigerians still don't see better schools or hospitals, the question remains, where did the money really go? The Abacha Loot is a warning to the world. Leaders can steal from their countries, but with enough pressure and teamwork across borders, some of that money can be traced and recovered, though never all of it and never fast enough. When people hear Abacha Loot, they often think of numbers, millions here, billions there, but behind those numbers are real people. Every stolen dollar meant fewer hospital beds, fewer textbooks, fewer jobs for Nigerians. Yes, billions have been recovered, but the scars remain. So, the Abacha Loot isn't just stolen money, it's about justice, accountability, and the fight to stop leaders from putting their own greed above the people they are meant to serve. And until Nigeria and the world fully truly learns that lesson, the story of the Abacha Loot will remain a warning we cannot ignore.
Sequel to the resignation of the former head of the interim national government and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Chief Ernest Shonekan, and my subsequent appointment as head of state and commander-in-chief, I have had extensive consultations within the armed forces hierarchy and other well-meaning Nigerians in a bid to find solutions to the various political, economic, and social problems which have engulfed our beloved country and which have made life most difficult to the ordinary citizens of this nation. Chief Ernest Shonekan took over as head of state and commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces at the most trying time in the history of our country.